I'm gonna name Nell the evil stepmother, you guys, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so in the beginning, let's just talk about her earlier years as being fun as a child. Then things start shifting. Her daddy disappeared. She kept calling her dad. She didn't know why Nell would not let her speak to her father. But later on down the line, when she got a little older, she found out that Chris had left her stepmother for another woman. Okay, so Chris is back now. But all the time, the daughter want to know, why isn't my daddy calling me back? Why isn't my daddy being supportive to me like I want him to? So she started blaming her stepmom. This is in a child's mind, you guys. Why isn't my daddy communicating with me? Where is my daddy? Can you just tell me that? Well, I think he came. When she came back, all of a sudden, she said he was back in their life. And you remember he was gone for 2 years, according to my understanding. And then when she said, what's her name? Nell was quiet. They had to move in with uh, this person with a 3-bedroom house out in Harvest, Alabama. It's like about 10 of them in one house. So she said she was having fun. That's in the kid's mind. You know, children are very flexible, y'all. Children are flexible. So let's understand this family dynamic and how they were adjusting and changing and shaping things. This is what's going on. Things, how she was adjusting. She was working at Family Dollar. You don't make no money at Family Dollar. Everybody know that. So she said she was quiet. Somehow they got themselves together, right? And then they moved and bought a house in Madison. Once they got themselves together, she said that they would go shopping all the time. And here's where I call her the evil stepmother. My reason for this is because Nell would torture this girl. She would take her shopping with her on shopping trips. And when she asked for something, she would say, start, yelling at her. Yeah, we pay child support. Tell your mammy to support you. I know she said it all nasty to the little girl. Tell your mammy to support you. She was having all this erratic behavior towards Alexis as a child. Every time she asked her for something, and to me, she took this girl shopping with her just to tease her. Like, look, F you and your mom and your mammy too, and your daddy. This is my money, and you're not gonna get any of this money. She was so angry at Chris. She was angry at Chris when she took it out on little Lexus. So this child started to experience all this evilness and all this lack of sensitivity and this lack of respect for his daughter. Every time she asked for something, she said, "Yeah, that's why we pay child support, child support, child support, child support." That's all she ever heard. But what is the role of a parent? A step parent is a person who marries a parent of a child, but the child is not the biological child. So she treated her biological children different. She wouldn't let her play with her toys. She said that the other daughter had this beautiful pink room, lots of toys. She was not allowed to play with the girls' toys. Oh, they just broke my heart. And every time she said she would ask for what toy, she would say, "Yeah, well, we pay child support." Clearly, Lexa knew early on that she was being treated different, that the other kids was treated better than she was her biological kids, y'all. But step parents can be a part of a blended family. Why blend this girl into this family if you're gonna dog her out and treat her wrong? A lot of stuff she said to that little girl was insensitive. And anytime she tried to communicate with the child, she was snapping at her. She said she learned all the cussing and the yelling. That's how she communicated with her. And to be fair, she said with Lance and that niece of hers. And she said what got her was all that time she had nothing. She had nothing when she get there, not even a room. Now I understand that Lance had to give up his room when she came. He would sleep on the couch. But when she got that other little girl, step girl, she gave her a room. And she said that made her feel bad. Now, Chris is not speaking up. Chris is not speaking up. Chris act like he don't care a shit about nobody but himself. But what I do like about what Lexa said, she did the work, y'all. And she didn't want to have no negative thing, no negative feelings inside her heart when she became an adult about her stepmother like she used to carry around. She did the work. She got counseling. And as an adult, she understands that maybe my father did not give you the love that you need, right? It was my father. I can relate to you now as woman to woman.
We're only like 6 months apart. And I've only ever known my stepmom and my biological father to be together. I know I've seen comments like from the past year of my interview Giving You the Real Tea. People were saying like, oh, she's so bitter. She broke up the home. You gotta get over that. La 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 la. I don't know what home they're talking about because the only home I've ever known is them together. I've never seen my parents together. That's never been a norm. Never been something that I've experienced. So I don't really attribute any bitterness or that I had to my stepmom for breaking up their home. So, and honestly, that's nothing that I need to be bitter about. That's not my relationship. I was a child, I wasn't privy to any of that, as I shouldn't have been, so why would I care? And I'm happy that they got divorced. I'm very happy with my family dynamic that I have now, especially with kind of removing that family from my life. So, yeah, everything happens for a reason. But I've known my stepmom my whole life. And I don't have any unpleasant memories of her from when I was a kid at all. Not one unpleasant memory. I remember spending time with her mom, her sister, and it was always like, a good time. She was my mom. I referred to her as mom. I never called her by her name. She was my mom. Like, I didn't have any unpleasant memories of her. And when I got to age, like, I want to say like 10-ish, maybe, that's when things kind of started to shift. For me and my stepmother, the family, they lived in Atlanta for a little bit of time, and at first when they lived there, it was just my biological father, stepmother, stepbrother, half sister, and brother, and the niece was not there yet. And I would come and visit and spend time with them, mainly my stepmom and my siblings. And it was fine. I didn't have a room there when I would go visit. I would have to stay in my brother's room and he'd sleep on the couch. So I never had like a room or toys, clothes, and anything that was mine. The only thing that was mine was what I brought in a suitcase there to go visit them with. And never really felt the type of way about that until they adopted their niece. And when they adopted her, she had a room in their house. And it kind of made me feel a type of way. I had some issues because she was around the same age as my stepbrother and I. And, they became really close. So I kind of felt like she was taking my brother away from me. And then she had her own room. So I was like, but I wanted a room. And why did she get a room? So, and I would ask my stepmom about that. And she told me that I had a room at my mother's house. Which, is crazy when I think about it now, because I'm like, oh, it's if I'm one of the kids, like, and I'm your child, because, like I said, I always grew up with, my mom, my stepmom, my biological father, and then my stepfather came in the picture later on when I was like 8. And of my parents, she was always a parent, so I didn't understand if I was one of the kids why I could not have a room. And she never referred it to oh, go talk to your dad. She never said anything like that. She just said you had a room at your mom's house. So there's that. And whenever I wanted to, and I asked for a room because I was like, I want to have my own stuff here and toys and everything, because my sister at the time, I was still young too, so I like Barbies and everything. And my sister had this pink room and all these Barbies and all these toys, but my stepmother wouldn't let me play with certain toys of hers. She said she didn't want me to mess them up. She kept a lot of stuff in boxes, and their original boxes, if it was a Barbie camera or something like that. And so I was not allowed to touch those toys. And then there were certain toys of my sister's that I guess maybe they were her favorite toys. I don't know, but I was not allowed to play with those toys. So I was really limited, and I didn't see that as ugliness when I was a child. But now that I'm an adult, I'm kind of like, it's kind of messed up. But that was my early childhood with her. And then between I can't really remember what age I was, but between them living in Atlanta and then moving to Harvest, Alabama, there was a stint of time there that I could not get in contact with my biological father. So I was left to only call my stepmother to try and get a hold of him. And I would call, and she'd give me an excuse, and he would never be around, so I could talk to him. Same thing would happen with my mom, when she would call, so I could try and talk to my dad. And I later found out from my stepmom when I was 17 or 18 why he, didn't get on the phone. It's because he left them for another woman and her kids, which freaking sucks for my stepmom, but that's what happened. I didn't know that at the time, so I was just like, where's my dad? So, but I started to have a little resentment towards my stepmom because of that, because I was like, you're keeping him from me. Why can't I talk to him? Where is he? And then all of a sudden, one day, he popped up, called, and he said that I could come visit, and they lived in Harvest, Alabama. I don't know. It was strange. So they moved to Harvest. They lived with friends of my stepmom. Her friends had 2 daughters. So in this 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house, it was, 4 adults, their 2 daughters, and then their 4 kids. Well, their 3 kids and their niece. So it was a lot going on in the house. But it was fun for me as a kid. I remember sleeping on the floor and couch and everything. It was kind of like a big slumber party. But my stepmom was different. She was quiet. She was kind of frozen. She worked at the Dollar General at the time, and I remember her wearing these black turtlenecks, and she would get these nasty rashes on her neck, and I would feel so bad because after she'd get off work, she needed an hour or something to herself. She was just quieter. I don't know. That's the only way I can really describe it. And they went to church a lot. They didn't go out as much. They didn't go shopping or anything like that. And I didn't really ask her much. And from what I can remember, when I would ask for something, she would say like, "Oh, we don't have it right now." Yeah, and which was fine. But it was just it was a quieter time for them and that family. And then when they eventually moved and bought their own home in Harvest, there was a shift with the relationship of myself and my stepmom, because she was no longer quiet. She was angry. She was really angry. She would talk down to my biological father. She would talk down to him, talk about him, cuss him out. She did the same thing with my stepbrother and her niece. And it was a lot of yelling and cussing and belittling, and it was just like a sad time. She was just really angry, and she would, she would talk about my bio dad in public, and it'd be so embarrassing. Like because she would cuss him out, and then she would just air out their laundry in front of the whole restaurant, just talk about him and say he's not worth shit, and that's why you left your family, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was bad. It was so bad that I started to feel bad for my biological father. I remember crying a lot at their house at night and in rooms, because I would just feel bad that she would talk about him so bad. And it was embarrassing and hurtful and kind of scary, especially when she would kind of go in with my stepbrother and her niece. Like they got the verbal abuse, and for me, it was she was angry at that time. So I was real scared, didn't want to smoke, I didn't ask for much. If I did, like, say, like, "Oh, can we go out to eat?" Like, that's the only time she would kind of come at me, like, "We pay child support." I'm like, "I don't understand why you feel like when you come down here, we got to take you out to eat." And she's like, "Yeah, it's simple no, but it suffice." But I don't want any smoke, so I learned very quickly when they were in that state in life to just zip it, because I didn't want any issues with her. So, I mean, that's kind of how our relationship was at that time. I just kind of tried to steer clear. She also would get drunk and like tell me things that I shouldn't have known as a child about her and my biological father's relationship. She would sit there and talk about how he didn't make any money and he wasn't worth a damn, and like all. She would get drunk and go off the deep end and go in on him and talk to me like I was one of her girlfriends. And that was hard because, well, I was a child and I just, wanted to come and visit, and I don't know. That's not something that my parents in Nashville ever did. So it was a really weird dynamic. I didn't really know how to navigate that. But I also, like I said, didn't want to smoke, so I would just listen. But that did deeply affect how I saw her and any respect that I had for her, because of how she would treat siblings and my biological father. And once they got to a better place financially, they moved to Madison, Alabama, and they had a nice house there. And that's when things, like, I guess because they started doing better and they had the money, they started getting a lot for like the kids. They would go shopping a lot. They would go out to eat a lot. And when I would come down, I wanted to like join in. Oh, I also lived in. I've never had a room, a bed, anything. But when they lived there in Madison, they go out more and shop more. And when I would like try and ask to be included, like if we're at the mall, you're buying stuff for them, and I'm like, "Oh, can I get this?" My stepmom would kind of get angry and turn to me and snap and be like, "We pay child support." you need to ask your mom because we pay child support. And then when I got older, like 16, she would say, like, I get child support for my son, and I give him all that money. I don't know why your mom wants to keep child support from you, but if you want something, you need to ask her because we pay child support. So everything was about child support. Everything was about child support. I didn't know until I was a little older that he did not pay child support. Can anyone guess how old he was when he was done paying child support and arrears and all that kind of stuff for me? I'm 33. I'm curious to see what age people would guess when he was done paying child support. But yeah, I'll say that they didn't pay child support. So that was always a struggle with me and my stepmom. If I wanted something, if I wanted to go somewhere, I wanted to do something, movies, and like you name it, go skate, we paid child support. You can ask your mom because we pay child support. And she needs to give you that money so when you come down here, you can pay for stuff. So that was kind of hard. And then there's actually this one, when they lived in a house in Madison, I actually, my car was broken into, and they were like really apologetic. It happened at their house, and they're like, "Oh, we'll pay for your window," blah, blah, blah. They didn't, and then I got upset about it with my bio dad. I got upset with him and like was upset and going off on him, and she chimed in and she was like, "You need to use that child support to pay you need to use that child support to pay for that window." But it was just like, you guys offered, like, I'm only following up with what you said you would do. Like, but everything was about child support, everything. Anytime I wanted anything, it was child support this, child support that. And she would always get really, really angry with me when I would ask for anything because of them paying child support. And then it started to turn into like, why every time you come around here, you want something, you need something, you want something. Don't we pay child support? I didn't understand, I guess for them, that child support meant anything outside of child support that I wanted was a no. It was an absolute, like, we don't, like, we pay child support. So that started to get like really hard for me. There was also a time when they lived in Madison, and this was when my brother was married to his first wife. Yes, his first wife. And I came down and they were talking about how they went to Victoria's Secret, and my stepmom spent $12,000. That's what they said. I don't know if it's true. $12,000 on his, I can't remember if it was his fiance or wife at the time. And I was just like, what? That's insane. And I was like, can I get a jogging suit from Victoria's Secret? I really want this, like, whatever. And she was like, we pay child support. But then the next time I came down, it was around Christmas. They got me some Victoria's Secret stuff, which I was like, oh, cool. But then they also, and this, I'll talk about in the chapter about the dinner, that same Christmas that they got me that, it's not funny, that same Christmas that they got me that Victoria's Secret stuff, they got their son a brand new car, and they got their daughter a brand new car, luxury cars, which is totally fine. I had a car at the time. And then later on, after my stepbrother kind of pitched one, had a fit about it, they got him a car. And then they gave the niece a BMW. So, and it was just really weird because I was just like, and I didn't say, like, I was hurt and I was really upset but then she was like, you wanted the Victoria's Secret stuff and we got you that. I don't know. Am I tripping? I don't know. I don't know, but that was the dynamic. That's kind of how it went. So, that was our relationship. It was okay until it wasn't. And I really do attribute a lot of that to her not being loved properly by my biological father. I really do feel like because she was not protected, she didn't have that security, she didn't have that stability in her marriage and her relationship with her husband and for the father of her kids, because she didn't have that, I feel like that deeply affected how she looked at me and how she treated me. It's like if I try and put myself in her shoes, I'm like, I'm over here, fighting for my life because I want this man to love me and see me and treat my kids, with love and respect and be there for them and support them. And then I've got this other kid over here that's not even my biological kid that's wanting the same thing, but I don't even have it for myself and my kids. So I can put myself in her shoes and I can see how, that would have been hard, but I still cannot excuse. I was a kid, just as much as you wanted my bio dad to see you and love you and appreciate you, I wanted the same. And I feel like instead of trying to embrace me and help me navigate through that, the way I guess you tried to, or had to maybe, if you did navigate that with your kids, you just kind of like left me to fend for myself with that, and then really treated me badly, really kind of put me in a box and set me to the side and was like, I got my own kids and myself to worry about. I'm not doing anything for this kid. And that's kind of how I felt, but I do understand that you were not given the respect and the love and the security that you needed. I really do feel bad. And I mean, I wouldn't know what to do if I was in your shoes. Especially if, my husband stepped out on me. I've already told my husband I'm not interested in ever being divorced, and that would be like the number one thing that would get, those papers served to him. But yeah, I do understand that was hard for you. And I have forgiven you for how you've treated me. I have moved on. I have processed through that and worked through that and those ill feelings that I have or had towards you because of how you treated me. But I do, if she's watching this, I feel like I'm talking to her, but if she's watching this, I do want her to understand that, I can sympathize with you. And I do hate that was your reality with my biological father. And I do wish that I have wondered, I'm like, man, if he did right by you, would you have done right by me? I'm not gonna lie, that hasn't crossed my mind. Because I just know it was hard for you. I didn't deserve it. I still don't feel like I deserved it, but I know it was not easy for you. And I hate that for you, for your kids, because they deserve to have a mother that was treated like a queen, a mother that had that stability and that security. And who knows how your kids would have turned out if they had that, you know what I mean? Who knows how they would have turned out if he never left and you didn't have to kind of fend for yourself to raise and take care of 3 kids by yourself for a couple of years. Like I can truly, truly sympathize with you, and I know that was not an easy thing to go through and work through. And you stayed, y'all been married for I don't know how many years. You stayed. So, and I don't feel like, you worked through the things you should have worked through in order to stay and have a more positive relationship, but you stayed nonetheless. And yeah, I just, I hope she knows that I see her